Alright, everybody. Just received this really potentially super duper cool package in the mail today. This came from Captain Slug, and it is the prototype for the Inline Rivalburn, which he prototyped recently. I think he just released the files, but to my knowledge this is the first actual tangible one, I guess, that he sent me to test. This isn't like a review thing, this is just a look at how cool this thing is. The concept that it exists is wonderful. So, what we have, it is all assembled, it looks like. Kind of. Yes. There's that, if you'd like that. We have a box and a partial box. Let's see what we got here. We have the blaster. We have some hardware. I don't know if this is extra hardware. We'll find out momentarily. And we have a mysterious thing. In the bubble wrap. So, we'll start off with, I guess, the concept. The Flak, which is the lever action rival blaster that Slug just put out, geez, like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, feels like. Probably more than that. Lever action. The Flak was supposed to be able to handle everything. There was like things it did rival. I think he had a half-length magwell, had a number of shells that it would accept, and he was showing off the prototype for the rival version that accepted the magazine. And the first one was the conventional, kind of up from the bottom, like the regular Rivalburn. But he showed one that ran the magazine in line with the barrel, and was showing off how cool it was, and he designed a bottom loading, top loading, all this great cool stuff, and I said, man, that is so cool. I wish that would work in a conventional platform, because that is exactly what I was wanting with Rival Blaster for the arena. Actually, yeah, here we are. The Atlas, in my Atlas video, that I've overhauled, basically filled that role. It just did it really awkwardly. But I wanted something that I could use for scavenging that basically was pump action, compact, comfortable and everything, but something that I could top off the magazine as I went, which I did here. You can see that in the video. Still have the mod guide that I need to make for this to show other people that the Atlas is cool still, but basically this filled the role as good as it could, and it was the best thing so far. But I wanted something that could have a magazine, and you could swap the magazine, but you could top off the rounds as you go, so you're not having to swap a whole magazine. You can just take a shot, top it off, and basically maintain a topped off mag unless you're in a pretty hot firefight. Unload the mag, you can swap it out in a hurry if you want. Stuff like that. I think I covered that concept in the video on this. But the fact that he made something that worked like that, did all the things that I needed, I was like, man, that would be so cool. I would buy that thing in a heartbeat. And he said, oh, because the Flak, the whole magwell assembly moves and shifts when you prime it. He said, because this does it this way, it probably won't work. And I was like, oh, shucky darn, what are you going to do? About an hour later, he jumps back in chat and says, actually, that should work with a conventional Rivalburn if you did this and this and this. And I was like, oh, that's really cool, there's hope. And about an hour later, he shows up this 3D render prototype thing that looked amazing. And I was like, that's everything I ever wanted in anything. And so he'd been sharing periodic developments of that. And he said, oh, by the way, I'm going to send you the prototype. And I just was like, ah! Little fangirl action there, because Slug does really cool things. So, that brings us to today, where hopefully this is a magazine-fed, inline magazine setup that can be topped off, front load the mag, all this kind of wonderful things, all in a nice, tidy, reliable package, as you would expect from Slug. Okay. And that's what we've got right here. So it looks like we got a little bungee thing on that deal, part of the follower thing. Basically, the magazine goes in the bottom, and there's this little, super neat little, elevator lifter deal that basically takes the round from the bottom, and when you prime it, it pokes it up to where the ram can get a hold of it. We're going to play with that here in a minute, but that is just super neat. This guy here basically actuates this little elevator thing, I believe. This is all just me trying to figure things out because Slug's a lot smarter than I am, but I recognize cool stuff. You'll notice, as I point this directly at you, that that is a square hole because he wanted to be able to include the use of these bizarrely designed 15-round worker mags that don't really fit in anything except I'd fit them in my Jupiter, and I don't know of anything else that actually fits. But he made it to where this would fit. And it goes... Hope I'm loading this in right. Can't remember if it goes in upside down or not. That didn't feel... Oh, actually, maybe that's it. Okay, yes, that is correct. So, got a magazine here. This spring that he sent must be it's kind of a softy boy, so I imagine it's a weaker spring. I do not know what he sent with, and I would hope that this hardware is just extra hardware because you never know. But, just for the heck of it, let's take a look at things here. So, the bottom is open. Magazine runs along this way. You can. And because I am an Eagle Scout, I have rounds right here. I was prepared. So theoretically, you should be able to just poke them up in here. Bonk. Bonk. Okay, magazine popped out. Okay. So, I'll have to kind of analyze where the catch actually engages, unless... Yeah, it seems pretty solid now. Maybe I just didn't have it set in all the way. But be able to just... And the main thing I liked about the Atlas I built was the fact that once I got familiar with it, I could keep an eye on the field and could just, without looking, be able to top the magazine up, so I could have just a dump pouch full of loose rounds that I could just group up, kind of keep an eye on things, you know, checking around cover, poke a few rounds in, and then be able to jump out and go. So, let's see what we got here. I like that so far. And we'll see what she's got. Nothing happened. Okay. Let's make sure something actually loaded this time. You know, just for the heck of it, let's see if we can actually... But you need to move your back half, please. Excuse me. Thank you. So let's see what's going on here. Can you see that? I hope that's focused. Close enough, right? So you prime that. This guy comes and goes. Bonk. Is it around in there? Looks like it. Primed. Yep, we're good. Lifts up. Chambers a thing. And maybe we'll see something now. Yes, we did. Okay. So, functionally it works. We do know that it fills from the bottom. That works. He also said you can top load this guy. So it's, I think it's, you can prime it and then just poke one in. Boop. If you want to, I guess, shotgun it without priming it twice and you have one in hand. Again, kind of like what I used to do with the Atlas. Gosh, it's been a while since I've seen that video. I don't know if I actually talked about that. But so that is pretty cool. Alrighty, well, I'm kind of digging that so far. And there's apparently these black guys on the side here. These little doodads got an arrow on them, which means pull that way, which is the mag release. Just like that. He said you should be able to prime it, drop these dudes, and sure enough, the mag drops out. Okay, I'm liking this so far. It's based on the U-channel version, which simplifies construction and makes it a little more rigid. So that gives us these guys here, which also apparently acts as the guide for the whole priming grip here, which is a really good size, because it has to wrap around the whole dang magazine and everything, but it doesn't feel like it's too much for the job. Like it's like, kind of like the Apollo grip, where you can tell this grip isn't awful, it just feels a whole lot bigger than it should be because it's fitting around the whole magazine. But this here, I think I'll probably end up putting some kind of foregrip on it, just because my wrists don't like going flat like that. They kind of more like that. But okay. There's horribly confused. I believe he said it should work with these, which makes it awkward. You'd have to drop it down that way. But it does in fact run it if you want to, I guess, nerf yourself as far as only running 7 rounds. Or if that's all you got to get by, or you're testing whatever, there it is. Still works. Fits around it. Doesn't quite drop out. Oh goodness. Okay. It's also supposed to be designed to fit these. I believe he said he made it favor the worker magazines just because they're higher capacity and stuff, and because they're a bigger dimension. But that guy does lock in, and not super enthusiastic about dropping out. Is that something I'm doing? Maybe not. Well, sure as heck it's not going to fall out on you, apparently, so... Interesting. Let's look at that 15 again. See, my brain wants to put the magazines in with the little tab thing facing up, but it needs to go basically upside down of what you would expect. That's still pretty darn positive. Okay. The Magwell, or receiver, I guess, does seem to like these worker guys, which is cool because you can get these from, I think Foam Blast. Yeah, Foam Blast sells them. That's where I got these guys. Out of Dart sells them. I reckon any of the regular domestic worker resellers would have them. So suddenly these became a lot more desirable than they were before, which is super cool for those of you who bought them and then found out they didn't work so good. Okay. Definitely need to work on the reload as far as just how was most comfortable. So I'll probably have to sit down with this for a while, play with it. But technically I should need to run several of them just with the way I play. But it is kind of cool. Basically, you just get it here, and it drops it. Oh, that's actually really cool. So you could just drop it, pull another one out, bonk. That actually kind of has a cool little feature to it, anyway. But could you like hold the thing and like? Oh, you could. So, oh no! Fire last round. You just shoot that thing out into the neighbor's yard. Grab your new one. We might have some fun with this later in a different video of core reloads and things like that. But that was my main concern was, is having it kind of a weird, unconventional setup going to make it super impractical and weird to try to reload? But I think it's just going to be a slight difference, but I think there's still potential for relatively quick reloads, but you don't need to because you can top it off as you go, which is really cool. So again, grab a handful and just kind of shove them up in there, just like loading a shotgun, I guess. And this is, man, I fantasized about this mechanism for like years when Rival first came out. I thought, man, that'd be cool if you could have something that, you could load from the back, and so it'd have to be something that chambered from the back, use the magazine, just the whole concept, but Slug managed to do it a heck of a lot cleaner and more efficiently and effectively than anything Nerf could have given us, which is super cool. But yeah, so you just hook that dude up in there. I think we're close to capacity. Is anybody counting? I sure am not. Okay, that did not chamber too well. Okay. Okay, that one chambered good. Okay, seems to be doing alright. It might just need to take a minute to break in. I don't know if he did much testing with this beforehand. I would assume so, but you never know. Not even sure what spring he has in this thing. But, why don't we take this outside for a minute and do some tests and things, just to kind of get an idea of performance, trajectory. I'm not sure. I'm going to look down the barrel here. I think once upon a time he played with hop up. It doesn't seem to be anything there. I'm not familiar enough with the Rivalburn. Oh, good heavens. I'll be darned. There seems to be just this little screw at the very end. People who already have a Rivalburn or are familiar with it would probably be like, hey, idiot, that's how it works. But I assume that dude's adjustable. It's just a little hop-up thing. That's cool. Slug never fails to disappoint. That is super cool. Yeah, let's take this thing outside and see what it's got. Come on, let's go. Okay, totally haven't practiced this, but theoretically. Okay, not super smooth, not super duper reliable on reload. That might have to be fine-tuned a little bit.